This program brought to you by Brewski's Bar and Grill, located in Utica, Minnesota. Your one-stop shop for delicious burgers, fries, pizzas, and more.
Very, very little as far as, Ready?
Let's go.
Welcome to the Sports Wrap. I think this is show number 12?
I think
12, I think it is. And after a week hiatus for Thanksgiving, how was it?
The week off?
Yeah, well, how was Thanksgiving or the week off?
Oh, a lot of football, Tim. A lot of football. It's just like it started early and it just ended the whole time. 11:30 on Saturday night. Army's playing Hawaii. I really want to see this game. My eyes could not take it anymore. I had to quit.
You had to give up. So I don't even know what happened. Did they win, lose, or draw against Hawaii?
I lost.
You go all the way to Hawaii and you get beat?
Well, I know it, but you still go all the way to Hawaii.
Go all the way to Hawaii. Not too shabby.
And I think Hawaii is hosting the conference championship over there, and I'm just thinking, actually they got a pretty good team. They're 7-1, 8-1 now, and they handled Army pretty good. And so, we'll see what happens. But I think Boise State and Hawaii play this week, and
I think that's right.
That's going to be for the championship. And but I did feel bad for Army, but I live with the fact that America's game is going to be on the 14th, and records really don't mean a lot. These guys will steal each other's mule and goat and whatever it takes to win. They will do that. So
and we're going to record our next show that day, correct?
That's what I'd like to do.
So we're not going to tape a show next Wednesday. We're going to wait until Saturday the 14th, and Army Navy starts at what, 2:30?
2:30, 3 o'clock.
2:30, 3 o'clock.
It's going to be a remarkable lunch.
It's going to be a remarkable lunch here at the Muni?
There's going to be ham and pierogies and cabbage rolls and gumbo, and the sailors and the soldiers really put out a pretty good feed.
All right, it sounds like...
And it's a wide open deal, so anybody that wants to come is welcome.
So no charge, no. Just come in and enjoy it.
Oh, yeah.
Come in and watch the football.
Just come watch Crazy Sailors.
Yeah, Thanksgiving weekend definitely had its share of football, and of course I was at the Prep Bowl for only one day rather than 2 days because of the snowstorm and other varieties. So that allowed me to sit in front of the TV for about. You said how long you would. I went to bed at like 9:30. I'd had it after watching College Game Day, which I wanted to be at but didn't stay for. Watching Michigan, Ohio State, then watching the Gophers and everything else. It was about 9 o'clock, and it was just kind of like, that's it. I can't do anymore. I'm done.
I know I'm turning a little bit digital. Streaming is wonderful. So
it is.
I get on the computer, KSTP is streaming the game, and I wanted to see the Chaska St. Thomas Academy game, and it was a dandy, 10-7.
And it was a dandy.
And it's.
Did your buddies from Chaska get a little help from the officials? Because somebody asked me if I thought they got a little help.
Well, they did, but I tell you what I saw with Chaska is they had three good-sized football players that really could play the game. One, his name is Steve O'Gluntz, and he was the most valuable player, and he's about 6'5" and about 215 pounds. My friend Greg tells me he's really a character. He's a snowboarder. He doesn't believe in the weight room. He believes in snowboarding for training. He's really quick.
It's an interesting dynamic.
He is going to walk on down at Iowa State. And with that size and that leanness, and he's got, you see a kid come walking in and he's got a coachable look. This kid's got a coachable look. So maybe he can go down to Iowa State and make the team.
Well, you never know. Maybe he can put on 40 pounds and become one of those D tackles at 255.
He is that lean. But there was some great Piers. 28-27 over Dassel Cokato.
It was one of those classics.
It was just one of those classics.
One of those games that Piers has been there before, maybe didn't panic. Hey, it was a great game.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I also caught the Mountain Lake Hancock 9-man. I'll tell you what, it's 9-man football with some very good football players.
Yeah, a lot of people say that 9-man football. There's probably some kids obviously out there that aren't going to be playing 6A football or 5A football. Obviously, that's the case, but there are some pretty good kids out there.
There are some pretty good kids out there, and I saw a couple of linemen and several running backs and guys that could fling and catch the ball. I was really impressed. In fact, the game started out early. It was the first one I saw. It started at 10 o'clock in the morning. So I watched that until Ohio State.
Yeah, I had both my TVs on in the basement. I was working hard, very hard to keep up and understand what was going on. You didn't mention the other high school games. Well, what about those other ones? How about the kid from Blooming Prairie? This kid
41-15. And Bold is a good football team.
And Bold is back-to-back state runner-up.
Yes.
Number 1 ranked just about the entire season. The Awesome Blossoms, Blooming Prairie, what the best nickname in high school, Minnesota high school. It's the most awesome nickname. Maybe not a lot of people may not agree with that, but
I like it.
But it's very, very good. But they got a kid named Gabe Hagan. Now, when he went out as a wide receiver, as a split end, I was kind of like, what's going on? 6'4", 250, plays defensive end. Early in the game, he tipped the ball with his left hand and caught, the quarterback was probably 5 yards away from him. He somehow hit it with his hand. It comes right down into him. He runs it in for a touchdown. I thought, oh, that kid hasn't scored many touchdowns all year. Not only did he score that touchdown, but he scored 2 others, got a 2-point conversion, if I remember right. The kid is 6'4", 250, and played wide receiver for a Class A school.
Oh, somebody with him.
He's headed to Mankato State.
Yeah, oh boy.
He's going to be a beast.
He is, considering they're 12-0 and heading for the big times.
Yeah.
The other one, Wayzata. They're coming up, beat Champlain Park, and I mean, when did you ever say Wayzata the football power? There they are, 6A, and they took care of business.
Christian Vassar, 49 carries. I ended up leaving at halftime of that game so I could get home at a reasonable hour, and I was listening to it on the radio, and every time all it was turn around, hand it off to Christian Vassar. Turn around, hand it off to Christian Vassar. Wayzata threw an interception on their first series of the second half, and I believe, and don't quote me on this, but I believe every play after that, they turned around and they handed it off to Christian Vassar. Every play. He ended up with 49 carries, 5 rushing touchdowns, 200, and I think it was 80 yards or 85 yards rushing. It was an incredible number. And he had 40-some plus carries and 280 yards, I think, in the semifinal. He got behind that big offensive line, and they just rode him until it was done. And somebody's going to find them a little bit of a gem in this kid. I don't know where he's going to go play, but they're going to find out that this kid is tough. And the coach said after the game, he gets better as the game gets longer. Most people wear down, he gets better.
Yeah.
And it was impressive.
You know, that's a spirit and attitude that coach will try to teach your athletes about, but only a few are really going to get the crutch of it. Some of them do, and you see them play out there and work out there. They're incredible. And the other one is Hutch handle friendly with no problem at all. 52-10.
Well, that was a semifinal game that you got there.
I'm sorry, I got that.
4A, you got to go Rocori versus SMB.
Oh. And how that turned out?
Well, to me, that was the game of the games. Of the 7 games, that was the big one. SMB, Jalen Suggs, who is your Division I basketball player, Minnehaha Academy, he's the quarterback. They injure him, a knee, right before halftime. He limps to the locker room. So we're all waiting at halftime to see if he comes back out. He comes back out limping. We don't think he's going to get to play, so they kick off to Rocori. Rocori gets the ball. They send the ball down to SMB, and here he comes, limping out onto the field. And he had been playing in the shotgun every snap in the first half. And he goes under center, and he turns around, and he hands the ball off. And they went what Seattle did to the Vikings on Monday night. They brought a 6th offensive lineman on, and they basically went unbalanced line, brought an extra lineman, brought 2 tight ends on, and said, okay, we're going to run to this side of the center. Go ahead and stop us if you can. And they kept ticking down the field. Well, pretty soon by the 4th quarter, the old knee is feeling better for old Jalen Suggs. So now all of a sudden he's mobile. And he's still playing defense. He's still playing corner. So you're kind of going, okay. So SMB ties it at 14 in the middle of the fourth quarter, goes to overtime. SMB gets the touchdown, and they kick the extra point to go up 21-14. So Rocori's got to come out, and they've got a very good quarterback themselves, but actually the kid is going to go pitch for Nebraska.
Oh, really?
So it kind of gives you kind of an idea of what kind of kid we're dealing with. So they got 3rd and 6, he gets sacked. So it's 4th and 15, takes the ball, takes the snap, he rolls out to his right, throws a dart into the end zone, the kid catches it for the touchdown to make it 21-20. So you're like, okay, are they going to kick it or are they going to go for 2? And I'm calling for 2. They come out in the old swinging gate formation. Put the ball on the right hash, put 7 guys over on the left hash, quarterback center, 2 receivers over here on this side. Quarterback gets the ball on the shotgun snap, rolls about 3 steps, hits the guy right inside for the 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
And they win 22-21. And for a state championship, there is not much more you can do for drama than that. So
you know, a lot of those games in that tournament, especially in the semis and the quarterfinals, there's some fantastic football games.
There's some fantastic football games, and there's some fantastic athletes out there.
Yeah, you know, and I even hate to say this because you get jealous, but there's some pretty good coaching going on out there.
There's some big time coaching going out there. Well, okay, the one game we didn't mention yet is Caledonia, who's won 68 games in a row. Only they've won 68 games in a row. They've got a kid whose name is Noah King. Okay, he's their quarterback. Pretty good quarterback. Not bad. Okay, his older brother plays basketball at South Dakota State. He's going to South Dakota State to play basketball. Their younger brother Eli, nice name by the way.
Yes, it's good.
Their younger brother, who's a sophomore, is the wide receiver, and he's the punt returner. He returns a punt for a touchdown, catches 2 touchdown passes, catches a 2-point conversion, and they're figuring he's going to be the quarterback next year. So Caledonia, welcome back. I think get on Eli King's backside and ride him to, at least another 8 wins during the regular season. That would tie Stephen Argyle for 76 straight wins, which is believed to be the state record for consecutive wins.
Won for a long time.
Won for a long time. That's 5 championships in a row for Caledonia. That's a boatload of wins. To win 5 state championships in a row is wow.
Well, they must have had something going on defense because they shut Minneapolis North out with 0.
Well, there was an article in the Minneapolis paper about the head coach from Caledonia. And everything that we've ever talked about, football coaches, George and I, we always believe you can't build speed. You can make kids this much faster.
Yeah.
You can't make them a lot faster, but you can make them a lot stronger. So what do? We get them in the weight room, and we got them pumping weights, and we got them doing bench press and squats and cleans and everything else. At Caledonia, they believe just the opposite. You can build only so much strength, but you can build speed. So they got the kids in the weight room, and they're working on building speed. Well, you watch these kids come out there, and they had the speed to keep up with Minneapolis North, who had tons and tons of speed, and nobody else could keep up with. So it would be interesting to spend some time at Caledonia. And I'm talking about this as a coach now. I'm not talking about this as a average Joe fan. I want to go down there. I want to go see what do you really believe in, because they've got some kids who are strong, no doubt about it. They got a great wrestling program and the rest of this. But where does this speed thing come in there, and how does this all work out? I mean, obviously you got to have a little bit of natural ability to be able to expand on it, but it has me intrigued, and I don't know, maybe someday.
But coaches are constantly evolving, and they go to clinics and they talk, and you know this, and they work on their own programs. I know wrestling coaches that go in and invent moves. They, here, this is what we can do. This, and generally, they're pretty good athletes themselves, but they're constantly looking, how can I improve this as a group? And they're coming up with some pretty good technique and pretty successful programs.
Well, we talk about the kids going to play at the next level, the football kids, basketball, volleyball. That comes from they're getting coached up. Yes, there's some athletic ability, but you got to be getting coached up as well. And And kudos to the coaches.
The Gophers have their front three Minneapolis guys all were in the same AAU team, you know, and so it's just like, what high school did they play for? Well, I'm not sure, but they were all in AAU, and so, you know, it's a different type of deal. Yes, it is.
Shall we stay in the football mode?
We can.
Well, we talked about Mankato. They win big last week, so they're playing this Saturday. St. John's goes all the way out to California, wins big behind Erdman, who's passed for only 458 yards, some big number like that. Went over 10,000 yards passing for his career. So St. John's plays again this weekend, and of course North Dakota State, they get into the fray this weekend. They get Nicholls State, so all the divisions below the big boys are in the midst of their big playoffs, and it's going to be very exciting. I would assume that North Dakota State will find their way onto TV somewhere along on the ESPN, somewhere on their ESPN channel.
The team, you know, and you know, I started going through some of the scores, and there's these interstate rivalry type things. Just Oregon and Oregon State, they call it the Civil War, you know, and Texas and Baylor, the Iron Bowl. I mean, these guys, you know, and of course we played for the Axe, but I just noticed, and then my number one penalty probably of all time was Mississippi and Mississippi State.
Oh.
I just in case you don't know, a guy made a motion like a dog urinating. He got an unsportsmanlike conduct. They moved the ball back after the touchdown. They missed the point after touchdown and lost the game by 1.
With 4 seconds left.
With 4 seconds left. It's incredible how stupid that could have possibly been.
Yeah, I understand going and celebrating. I understand being in the moment, but boy, that was a tough moment.
That was a tough moment.
That was a tough moment. Yeah, there were some big things, and you know, I see you got Minnesota and Wisconsin on the top of the ledger.
I even have it broke down.
I really believe, and I told somebody this the other day. You know, a lot of people are upset. Fleck got out coached. The coaching staff got out coached. I believe that to a certain extent. Fleck and his staff in one of their big games got out coached, and let me explain why I believe that. Early on in the game, the Gophers took away Jonathan Taylor. Very good idea. They did it. And Wisconsin, for a couple of series, said, okay, we want to go to our big boy. And then they realized, how do we get them out of this? We have to throw the football. And throw the football they did. The problem was the Gophers didn't respond and say, okay, they've changed their attitude. They're going to try to throw the ball. We need to play defense differently. They stood, what I believe, in the same defense and didn't make the adjustments. The coaches didn't make the change.
Well, Jonathan Taylor had, 12 yards the first quarter and a half?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he started running them in that little circle patterns out of the backfield. And once he gets the ball, I don't care where he's running, he's running well.
He's tough. And so I think that was the big thing. And somebody said, so then P.J. Fleck and his group got out coached. I say yes, because the Gophers didn't change. And that's where the good football coaches do that. And you have to learn your lessons. And P.J. Fleck and his group are going to learn a lesson from this. The Vikings learned a lesson from this when they played Chicago week 2. They sat there and said, we're going to run the ball, we're going to run the ball, we're going to run the ball. And they waited until the fourth quarter to start throwing it, and they had to make a change. So coaches have to learn. We can sit in our armchairs at home and be all nice and relaxed and say, well, we know what's going on. It's tough when you've worked on a game plan all week to change your mind, to change what you're doing, to change what you have decided you have to do. And the Gophers, whether people believe it or not, when big number 78, Daniel Falil, or however you say his last name, when he went out of that game injured, that took a major package out of the realm for the Gophers, because they like to bring in a 6th offensive lineman, bring in a couple of tight ends, and they like to smash mouth you. And when they took Falil out of the game and they only had 5 offensive linemen, they took a major portion of their offense out of the package. They could not run the football effectively. Play in and play out could not run the football. And that really was the difference in that ball game. the Gophers could only get 1, maybe 2 yards. That was the median carry for the Gophers,
Yes.
1 to 2 yards, and so
The game was non-existent.
yeah, and so you can't win that way, and the Gophers are gonna get to play on a New Year's Day bowl game.
This is the way I take this. At the beginning of the year, who would have thought I would have said the Gophers are going to be 10-2. There's going to be 2 wide receivers who are going to make $1 million contracts for the pros,
And we're gonna be mad.
Your coach is going to be the Big
Coach
Ten
of the
Coach of the Year, and
Everybody's
and
kicked up.
Winfield, the third, is the defensive back of the year.
And we're gonna be mad.
And we're going to, on the 1st of January, we're going to play Alabama.
Oh, you think it's gonna be
I
Alabama?
think it's going to be Alabama.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought the Gophers, for as much love as they got a couple weeks ago when they moved up 10 spots, I thought they got kicked right back in the wherever when they got dropped 10 spots. Come on now. 10? Of course,
no,
Alabama dropped 7. Think about this, folks. They were the number 5 team in the nation. They lost by 3 points to the number 15 team in the nation, and they dropped 7 spots. Now, I cannot believe these people who we say are educated and understand what's going on, really understand what's going on. You're telling me that Alabama, losing to 3 points to Auburn, at Auburn, deserves to drop Alabama 7 places.
No.
Hey, they had a field goal to tie it in the last 2 minutes. What are these people thinking? I don't know if they're all men. I want to say guys because that's what I think. But what are these people thinking? Because you're telling me Alabama's the 12th best team in the nation? You're trying to, I don't know what they're trying to do.
If you're going to go do the War Eagle thing at Auburn, you better tie on tight because they're going to give you an excellent game. And there are no upsets in that when you go there.
Yeah, and I don't get it. So the Gophers dropping 10 spots does not make sense to me. I can see them dropping 5, 6, 7, but Alabama dropping 7 and Minnesota dropping 10 is absolutely utterly insane. I don't know what the committee is thinking. I understand the Gophers lost by 21 points, but they lost to a team that was ranked what, 14th, 15th, 16th, whatever they were. I mean, Wisconsin's not a bad team. They're going to go play for the Big Ten championship. So you lose to a team like that and you drop 10 spots. I don't get it. It makes no sense.
Well, it doesn't to me, but just to certify that, I'll go to Indianapolis on Friday and watch the game and let you know how it goes.
Yeah, well, you got a prediction on what you think's going to happen with Wisconsin and Ohio
I
State?
think Ohio State's going to beat them by 17.
That's all? And I'm saying that, and I'm being serious. You think Wisconsin will hang in there?
You can talk me into 21. And that's not to say that Ohio State can't be beat. Any team can. But they are probably as together a football team as I've seen in a long time.
Well, here's the thing about Michigan was ranked, what, 10th? 10th. So here, I'm going to go back to my argument. Gophers were 8. Michigan, I think, was 10 or 11 because Penn State was 10. So I think Michigan was 11. Michigan loses by 29 points?
Yeah.
29 points to the number 1 team in the nation, and they dropped like 3 spots. We lose by 21 points, and we drop 10. I'm failing to see how the committee. Anyway, I'll get off of it, but Michigan and Minnesota played right now.
Oh, that's a toss-up football game.
I mean, and so if we play Wisconsin again, and I think it's the same thing if we play Iowa. So I'm a little upset about it because I don't understand where their numbering system, how they're doing
You'll
things.
be a very happy man if they take care of business on the first, whoever they play, because they're going to play somebody good.
Yeah, I think. Well, it's going to be somebody from the SEC, and so we're going to find out. I think it's going to be Florida. Could be. Wow, would it be fun if it was Alabama? I think you then get a true test. You really find out. Not that there's anything wrong with Florida, but Alabama very likely could be one of the top 5 teams in the nation, and to go play them in a bowl game, wow, that would be something.
Okay. Basketball, go for a quick.
Wait. Army Navy, right? We want to make one more plug.
Yeah.
December 14th, Saturday afternoon. We're going to tape the show. We're going to tape the show before. Come and get eats. Come and see the show and do what we need to do. And All right, let's move on to college basketball. What, you don't want to talk about the Vikings?
We can talk about the Vikings
Very briefly.
very briefly.
Can the deep, you know, I'm going to stay on my soapbox, folks, because apparently I'm in one of those moods. Kirk Cousins gets the old 0-8 tag after the Monday night. He's 0-8 on Monday Night Football. Okay, did anybody remember that he may be the quarterback playing on Monday Night Football, but it takes at least 22 guys to play a game?
Absolutely, gotta have it.
I am so sick and tired, and I know the quarterbacks get too much credit, and they get blamed, and they get all the credit. If that was Kirk Cousins' fault that they lost on Monday night,
Oh no,
you weren't watching the game.
No, he kept them in the game. And give them an opportunity to win in the end. It's,
I get whatever about
just
it.
keep in mind what a week it was. Okay, Miami, Washington Redskins, Cincinnati Bengals, they all win.
Yeah.
Houston Texans take the Patriots and give them a pop.
Yeah?
And then I saw, in San Francisco.
Any given Sunday.
By Baltimore. Now, I'm going to tell you here, and this is, there's another superstar coming up at quarterback, and that's Deshaun Watson.
Yeah?
He took care of business the other day, and you know about Deshaun Watson? I don't know if you knew about this. He is ahead of an organization that thus far has built and put poor people, homeless people, into 176 homes.
Wow.
And here's this young guy, he's not very old, 25, 26, really making an effort,
To do things right.
do things right. And they did a video of him, and they go in, they everything is in there. The couches, the televisions, the refrigerators packed, the shelves are full. The whole thing is completely intact. He sees a lot of people, here's your house, and you got nothing to put in it. He says, here, when a family moves in, they're in to stay. And you see this, and I thought, and you can play football too.
And he can play football. Yeah, everybody's thinking everybody's invincible and everything else. The Vikings are 8-4. Okay, we don't like the loss at Seattle, but who wins in Seattle? Not many teams win in Seattle, and I know Seattle's lost 3 games at home this year. I think that's the number. Okay, let's remember that is still playing in Seattle. Okay, they lost to Chicago on the road. Okay, they lost to the Packers on the road, I believe. These are the Vikings now, and their 4th loss is. Dang it. Anyway, this is a team that's 8-4. Okay, they're in the playoffs. Could they conceivably end up 8-8? Sure, that's a very good possibility. But they get the Packers and Chicago both at home the last 2 weeks of the season. They're going to win 10 ball games. They might end up 10-6. They might end up 11-5. But they're going to be, I believe, at someplace in that area. And once you get into the big show, once you get into the tournament, I know they're talking about it on Monday Night Football. Oh, you got to have a home bye. That's how you get into the Super Bowl. I don't believe that. That's just the way, that's the law of averages and whatever else. There's a lot of good football teams out there, and the Vikings are one of them. Once they get their defense situated, Xavier Rhodes, we've talked about him here before. Another bad night for Xavier, and I don't know if there's a cure for that, but they're going to have to do something, and it's something that you get into coverages. Even the long touchdown that got Seattle going with that 60-yard touchdown pass. Even Xavier's like, hey, I thought I had help over the top, so somebody blew a coverage there, and it's a team thing. The Vikes hate to say they gave up 37 points. But they're going to make the playoffs. And like I said, anytime you make the playoffs, you got a chance.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you, the other thing is, I watched bits and pieces of the Baltimore-San Francisco game. And I thought, these two teams are so evenly matched. I see no reason to, at this point in time, say if I got to predict anybody who's going to be in the Super Bowl.
That was going to be my next question. Yeah. Is that, if you had to make a prediction, is that who's going to be there?
I think they are the two great quarterbacks. I mean, and the only thing I'm going to say about Lamar, he ran 16 times for over 100 yards. is he going to start taking punishment for those runs? And that's 16 times for a quarterback's an awful lot of hits.
Well, let's think about what happened yesterday with the Panthers, with Ron Rivera getting fired, and of course, the big part of that is he rode Cam Newton to a lot of wins. Cam took a lot of punishment, even though he's 6'5", 260, and Lamar Jackson is no 6'5", 260.
No.
You keep taking those hits and that punishment, it does start to take a toll. It does concern me, but you know, unfortunately, your shelf life in football can be very, very short. Tom Brady and some of these other quarterbacks are not the norm. How does Tom Brady go out there and play at 41? Well, he's pretty smart. He knows how to get rid of the ball. Lamar Jackson's not getting rid of the football. He's out there taking some pretty big hits. And when you're 25, hey, ask RG3. You know,
That's exactly right.
You take a big hit, and all of a sudden your career's over. You know, I'm sitting here wondering about Delvin Cook. They're telling me, oh, he's good to go. He's good to go for this week. Well, I sure hope he is. I don't know that that's the case.
I've watched that movie before, and you know, and so you know, it's just I know that. I've been spending a lot of time with Lamar Jackson, but he's the most exciting guy in the league right now. There's no too much about it. And he can do so many things. I would just think, how much fun would it be to coach a kid like this? And it's just, you know, you called on with all those assets. But anyway, the Vikings played Detroit on Sunday at 12. And so they still have to come back and take care of business there. You know, it's not that...
Yeah, and Detroit is pretty beat up. Their quarterback there, their third-string quarterback, they should take care of the Motor City Kitties. They get the Chargers the following week, and then they get the Packers and the Bears to wrap it up. Like I said, they should win 3 out of 4 of those. They'll be 11-5 when all is said and done. Will they catch the Packers for the division title? I'm probably saying maybe not. A win over the Packers on Christmas, what is it? It would be Christmas Monday night. Christmas is on Wednesday, Monday Night Football they play on.
I'm not sure Green Bay is as good a team as we thought earlier in the year.
Because?
Well, they're starting to take some hits, and Aaron, although he's playing pretty good football, his linemen are just a little bit slower. Balago was out the last time. He's the key to that offensive line.
Yeah, he's a good part of it.
And so, you know, you see that, and I just think, you know, and there's some frustration in his eyes, and it's just, no, I think the Vikings, they certainly can play in the game with those guys. There's no doubt about it. There's no reason not to beat them.
Yeah, are they going to make the Super Bowl? No, because hey, to come out of the NFC right now with the Saints who are playing so well, with San Francisco and Seattle, and those teams playing so well, hey, it's tough. But it's gonna be fun to watch. That's why everything happens. Let's move on to college basketball.
College basketball.
Who do you want to start with?
Well, I'll tell you what. I watched.
Did you watch the
goal? I watched Stephen Austin play Duke. Stephen Austin
should be on the same floor with Duke.
They shouldn't be on the same floor with Duke. And no, you see what it is. And I talked to the guru down in Minneapolis. Half the country's having trouble with three-point shots. And if you're a three-point shooting team and you ain't hitting your threes like Michigan and Louisville the other night, you're going to have a hard time winning that basketball game. And I think that's the inconsistency that's hitting the Gophers. You know, they're hitting about, 35, 36% of their threes, and you can't play these good teams and just call on Big Danny to take care of the middle. So I watched the Clemson game, and I looked, and I said, Arturo, Big Dan, he was a man amongst boys in that. There was nobody that was even close to him.
Yeah, if he finds a way to keep himself out of foul trouble, and I got to watch very little of that game, but what I did of that game, the one thing that I saw was he had a stupid foul about 24 feet away from the basket, and I wanted to jump into the TV and grab hold of the young lad and say, look, if you get a foul 4 feet away from the basket, okay. 24 feet away from the basket, that's not going to make Tim happy.
No, and I always told our kids, you don't foul on a three-point shot. Why? Because you're going to miss it anyway. And so just get it up there and wiggle your fingers. But any time that our kids fouled on a three, they heard about it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And yet, you see it at the college, you see it at the pro level. And it's just, the pros, they move so fast, it's hard to tell when they do it. But They slowed
I tell you, I was impressed with Marcus Carr the other night. From what I got to watch of it, he did some nice things.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, what about Michigan moving from unranked to number 4 in the nation in the AP poll? How do you feel about that?
I'm not sure that's the thing, and that was one of the deals that we're talking about. They're a good basketball team.
Yeah.
They hit their threes. But the other day in Louisville, they go in and they get knocked off because they couldn't buy those shots, and I think that's been plaguing the Gophers all fall, all winter so far. But I take a look at Orteo. He's averaging 17 with 10.9 rebounds, and that 10.9 rebounds are huge.
Yeah.
The rest of them, and I mean, Marcus Carr has 5'8" and 14 points. Kelcher has 12 and 2.3 rebounds, and Peyton Willis has 12 points and 2.9. Well, that's pretty good point production. You got to get some rebounds out of that.
Yeah, and the defense, with the win the other night against Clemson, and I'm not saying Clemson's the world beaters, but they're from the ACC. They've got to be able to compete in that league. And
well, they had some injuries, and there were 3 guys on the bench. But I feel bad for a team when they come in with injuries and have 3 starters on the bench. But you kind of got to take it in stride. Unless it's Iowa, I don't feel bad at all.
So as long as you brought up Iowa, can I transition? Did you watch Iowa versus Wisconsin on Sunday night, the wrestling?
No, I didn't, but I still have it.
You got it. Well, I'll tell you what. They had number 1 in the nation versus number 2 in the nation at 133 pounds. The kid that transferred from South Dakota State, who was the national champion in 2018, he comes in and wrestles for Wisconsin, and they had a heck of a match at 133. You're going to enjoy the heck out of that. Iowa's ranked number 1 in the nation, and they put a smackdown on number 7 Wisconsin. They absolutely showed them the woodshed.
We are going to be seeing the NCAA's, some of the best that have ever been put on. And you see these teams, I mean, you go from Penn State, and Penn State's going to be good, Ohio State's going to be good. And Wisconsin is always solid, Minnesota is there. And Iowa, if they don't lead the pack, they're downright ornery.
Well, and then you got Illinois, who's been coming on and having spots. So
Michigan, they've always had a couple.
So it's crazy to see what the competition is going to be like. It's going to be fun. Did you watch any of Duke and Michigan State last night?
No, I did not.
That by the time I got to that, it was over.
Yeah.
Michigan State was getting blown out by Duke, and Michigan State had a lot of love early in the year, but they've lost to Kansas, to Duke. I think they've lost 4 times already, and it's like, woo.
Yeah, no, but I heard that they dropped it, and I was talking to the guru. Haven't they lost an awful lot of games? They sure have for ISO. I mean,
Yeah, they don't lose that many games.
But I was taking a look at some of the Gophers here. We got a guy named Pat McKee. He's a 125 pounder. He's 7'2", and Mitch McKee. Got to be related. He's a 141 pounder. He's 11-0, and it goes right down the list. We have some pretty good records here, and at heavyweight we have Bobby Stevenson, but not Gable. And that's going to hurt him. But he's 4-1. But a wrestling coach counts on a closer. Now sometimes they divide up the first 5 and the second 5 and stuff. So you want the first 5, you want 148 pounder, 155 pounder that can really shut off that first half. At the end, you want the heavyweight or whoever else is going to.
Right.
But you want
shut
that
the door.
closer. And Gable, without a doubt, is one of the best closers in the country, and that's going to hurt him.
Yeah.
But Brandon Ingham is a very fine coach. He wrestled for him. I take a look at him on the sidelines, and I think he could still hurt people. But I think that they're going to come along. They're going to come along slowly. They're at the Cliff Keen Invitational in Las Vegas. Now I've talked to some wrestlers that have wrestled in this. It says it's just an incredible zoo. It's just a 16 mats with all Americans from all corners, and it's an invitational. So big schools, little schools, all kinds of
Good stuff.
Good stuff. So that's going to be on Friday and Saturday. We'll see what that happens. They did drop to
Oklahoma State.
21-12, and that was a little bit disappointing because I thought that they might do pretty well. But John Smith down in Oklahoma State,
He knows what he's doing too.
he knows what he's doing too, and he was a 4-time national champion, which might have been one of the first.
Not too shabby. They win it 4
Not
times.
too shabby, especially from Oklahoma.
What else you got on your agenda?
I think I'm pretty much working out here. What do you got?
Now, the Bulldog hockey team got shown the woodshed. Speaking of woodsheds, over the weekend when they lost to Mankato State, not once but twice on home ice. Mankato showed that having 23, 24, 25-year-old men versus maybe 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23-year-old other kids makes a difference.
I'd be curious as to the scholarship level on both squads as well.
Could be something to look at. They were comparing the average age of the Mankato State team was older than the Iowa Wild, the farm team for the Minnesota Wild. They're older. Think about that. So Mankato will find out where they're at in March because, of course, Hunter Shepard's still a pretty good goaltender. Bulldogs will hopefully find a way to take care of things. Run down the Broncos quick.
Please.
The Bronco girls hockey team sitting at 0-4. We'll have them on Saturday versus Superior, Wisconsin. So that game starts at 2 o'clock, so we'll come on the air about 1:50 on KCC TV. And so please join us for that. The boys hockey team is 1-2. Lost down at Aurora at Hoyt Lakes on Friday. Won the first game over at the new arena in Badette, the $6 million palace over there, and won a very nice traveling trophy over Lake of the Woods 5-2. The Bronco girls basketball team's 1-1. Got a win at Chisholm, 49-44 the other night.
Tough place to win.
Chisholm had scored better than 70 points in their first 2 games, so for the Broncos to hold them to 44, I thought was a pretty good sign. The Bronco boys basketball team scored 86 last night in defeating Chisholm 86-62.
How did that come about? Who did that?
Helene, who I thought was going to be injured, who they told me was in a walking cast, looked like he was playing pretty well. Jet Tomzak scored a few points. Riley Larson, Cullen Rain scored a few points. So they're going to be able to put some points up.
Good.
I'm a little concerned about giving up 62. Nothing critical. I'm not being mean to anybody. They gave up 62 to Chisholm. I watched Chisholm I probably watched about 8 minutes in the second half. They didn't impress me, so giving up 62 does concern me. And well, hey, it's the first game of the year. Lots of things left to learn. And the boys swimming and diving team, they get started tomorrow, Thursday the 5th. They've got a scrimmage, a relay event down in Hibbing, and we're going to have them on for swimming next Thursday, which is the 12th, and they take on Chisholm that day. We'll have that, our first ever swimming and diving meet on KCC TV, so very much looking forward to that.
How about that bowling team?
How about that bowling team who ends up going to state this weekend as they bowl down at Alexandria, I believe it is, for the state tournament, and I'm sure they're looking to improve on their result from last year and bring home some hardware.
My wife tells me, and she yells at me all the time, but she says, when are you going to talk about the Gophers volleyball team? And I says, okay, so they're 23-5, they're 17-3 in the Big Ten, and they played.
I can't believe your wife yelled at you. She may have scolded you, but she didn't yell at you.
Sounded like a yell. But they have 3 women on the first team, and 2 more on the second team, which that's a pretty good volleyball team.
They ended up tied for second in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
If you didn't get a chance, I did watch quite a bit of the match on Saturday night against Penn State.
Yeah,
Penn State, same record, 17-3, but to win in Happy Valley, to win at Penn State, you need to know that the Gophers had not won at Penn State since 2004.
Really? I didn't know.
2004. So the Gophers are the number 7 overall seed in the upcoming tournament. They play at home on Friday and Saturday night. They should take care of business. Obviously, upsets can happen, but they're at home. And then if they end up winning that, they're going to get Florida. If everything plays out, they'd play Florida, who they lost to at Florida very early in the season. And then they would get number 2 Texas. Now, they played Florida one day and played Texas, I think, 1 or 2 days later, and lost back-to-back early in the season. They could see both of those. They could see both of those teams again in the second weekend of this tournament. What a lot of people don't know about the Gophers was they lost their setter for a big portion of this season. She was injured, and she's back. And Samity looked.
Sue looked at me and said, "George, she's 6'5". Oh, and she's one tall girl, and
she can jump out of the building.
Jump out of the building, I tell you."
And now that they've got their setter back, don't sell the Gophers short. This team could make a run. They should have been in the Final Four last year. I got a feeling somehow, some way, they're going to find a way. Wisconsin was the Big Ten champions. Yeah. Wisconsin looks phenomenal. It's going to be a fun tournament.
The characters that go to these volleyball matches, guys like me, my age, with Gopher shirts on, and they wear a Gopher beanie with little ears on it, and you know, and my daughter says, "You got to give Dad one of those hats," and never mind. But the crowd in there really get into it.
Good stuff. Yeah, you put 6,000 in the PAV, 5,800 in the PAV, and the pavilion. Which used to be the old Williams or old Mariucci Arena. Thank you. I couldn't had to get it right. Well, I guess it was Williams at one time, and then it became Mariucci. Anyway, it's quite the place. Okay, we haven't talked about this in a long time, but we got to end the show. What have you been listening to in the solarium recently? What's on?
Well, you know, I'll tell you. Sue came up the other day and she says, "What are you going to put on for me?" So we sat down and I do this, and I had a Keb Mo and the Taj Mahal album that they put out with a couple years ago, and it was already sitting on there. And I says, "Okay, we'll do this." But I went into my record pile and I found an old 1972 Steely Dan album. And I whipped it out, cleaned it up. I have all cleaning quality. Oh, did I have fun with it? So she got the Keb Mo and the Taj Mahal, which is a fantastic album. And I cranked up Steely Dan and Party Down Down. No, I'll tell you the problem that I have right now is I was getting all my equipment from a place called the Needle Doctor down in Minneapolis, and they closed up. Oh. So I'm starting to panic because I probably have 100 hours on my cartridge, and after that they start to get a little wobbly. So I'm going to have to find a place to replace that.
Take care of business. Lots of places online, George. Unfortunately, that's the way of the world.
They are.
Remember, we're going to be taping this show on Saturday, December 14th, maybe about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'll say 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we'll see. We'll see what we're going to do around Christmas. We may have to take a hiatus with Christmas being on a Wednesday and New Year's on a Wednesday, but we'll work one in there when we know where the Gophers are playing, so we can talk Gophers. Good enough?
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for watching The Wrap.
This program brought to you by Brewski's Bar and Grill, located in Utica, Minnesota. Your one-stop shop for delicious burgers, fries, pizzas, and more.